We have Dr. Kaushal from KIMS Institute, Hyderabad. And we have Dr. Vikas. He's from Sion Hospital.
Good. I'm very happy that at least Mumbai people are now answering.
And we have from KIMS Hyderabad also, sir, from South
Yes.
also.
Good, good.
Give our regards to Dr. Gopichan. Kaushal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, sorry, sir. I am from KIMS Trivandrum, sir, not from Hyderabad.
Okay.
Oh,
Hyderabad is Dr. Gopichan. Okay.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Good.
So, Kaushal and Vikas, okay, sir?
Yes, Kaushal and Vikas. Fine.
चल प्रशांत चालू कर.
प्रशांत किधर है?
1 minute, I think he got muted. Sorry.
Achha, one thing I want to tell all of you that this is, we have to say, don't say 68 years old male or 68 years old female. Okay? Say gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Say properly. So because many examiner, they don't like if you say male and female.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Prashant, start.
My patient, 68-year-old gentleman, Muslim by religion, businessman, and citizen of Nigeria, came with chief complaint of acute retention of urine 3 weeks back, and he was catheterized. My patient was apparently all right 3 weeks back when he had developed sudden inability to pass urine, and which was associated with lower abdominal pain. Pain was dilating in nature, and it started when patient has difficulty and inability to pass the urine. And patient was taken to the casualty in his country, where he was catheterized immediately. 16 French Foley's was inserted. Catheter went smoothly, and 600 ml clear urine was drained. And he was further referred to us for further management.
Yes, Kaushal.
Prashant, slideshow
Yes,
करो.
sir.
Slideshow.
Yes.
You want to ask any question now?
Sir, is previous history of voiding difficulty since how many days?
He's having voiding difficulty since last 6 months, 6 to 8 months. He was having lower urinary tract symptoms, and since 3 weeks back, he had sudden retention of urine.
So was any treatment for the same?
Hello.
What does this was apparently all right 3 weeks back? What do you mean by that?
Sir, he was able to pass the urine.
Okay.
He was on alpha blockers for the treatment.
Was voiding.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
So what sir is trying to say, Prashant, you can say patient was apparently passing urine well 3 weeks back. So
Yes.
Clear. Huh?
Yes,
No,
sir. Yes.
rather I would feel, Prashant, we should say that the lower urinary tract symptoms are for 6 months and
Yes.
it gradually worsened to land into retention 3 weeks back.
Correct.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, so saying apparently all right probably is not correct.
Yes, sir. I'll correct it.
Then what you are saying is right. Apparently, he was normal means he was absolutely normal and sudden appearance of symptoms have taken place.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what is the difference, Kaushal, whether if patient was all right till now and suddenly lands into urine or has progressive deterioration and lands into retention?
Kaushal, what is your
This
interference?
is, sir, yes, sir. This is spontaneous acute urine retention, sir.
No, so
he was taking medical treatment. Yes, sir.
No, my question is, so you have two clinical scenario. One patient was all right till 3 weeks back and landed in retention of urine, and another patient was symptomatic over 6 months, gradually worsened and landed in retention of urine. Are you interested in knowing this fact, and how does it change your thinking?
Your understanding
This is a case of refractory to medical treatment, sir.
If patient is having a
tell me.
the diagnosis can be changed. Like if patient was apparently all right and sudden urine retention, it can be a bladder stone as well. Or patient is on alpha blocker therapy for over 6 months, so it says that the patient is not responding to the alpha blockers and has precipitated the retention. Or it can also tell that patient is having some other problem like hematuria, bladder clot retention, the other pathologies as well.
Yeah, so what Dr. Maheshwari has asked, the answer is one patient has got some chronic disease which is slowly worsening and he is going into retention. Again, something he was absolutely normal, but suddenly this stone or something, some pathology which is acute in onset has caused this problem.
You see, this differentiation is important because in group 1 who suddenly landed into retention, it is possible that medical treatment would work better than in group 2, which gradually deteriorated.
Yes.
A question in the chat, somebody wrote about acute and chronic retention. How do you differentiate between these two retentions?
Acute retention is a painful condition, sir. Chronic retention is a painless. And in chronic retention, even after passing urine, there will be palpable bladder.
Perfect. So acute retention is a condition which is painful, there is palpable bladder and patient is unable to pass urine. And chronic retention is painless and the bladder continues to be palpable despite passing urine. Perfect. Okay, proceed please.
Patient's IPSS score before patient was having lower urinary tract symptoms 6 months back, and his IPSS score before catheterization was 23. Incomplete emptying was 4, frequency was 2, intermittency was 4, urgency 2, weak stream was 4, straining 4, and nocturia 3. There is no history of fever. There is no history of.
Please go back.
Yes, sir.
So, question or somebody would, are you happy with the way the symptoms have been presented?
No, sir.
Right.
Symptoms has to be elaborated little more, sir. Frequency means how many times in the day and how many times in the night?
Night is 3 times.
Is there no nocturia 3?
The frequency
Yeah.
and nocturia 3.
Yes, sir.
You see, it is always better to segregate the storage and voiding symptoms.
Voiding symptoms, yes, sir.
Okay, this is a very, very funny mix of alternate storage and alternate voiding symptom. Okay, it is important that we clinically segregate storage and voiding symptoms and decide what is the predominant trouble for the patient. That will help us again in clinical decision making. So, Prashant,
This patient is having
Yes.
both voiding as well as
storage symptom.
irritative symptoms. Yeah.
So, what is the significance of IPSS 23?
It goes into severe
It's
score, sir.
moderate actually.
No,
Hmm?
severe.
Severe, yes.
Severe.
More
Yeah.
than
Sorry,
20 is
yes.
severe, no? More than 20.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what sir is trying to say is that if there are voiding and storage symptoms and you have recorded them separately, suppose patient does not have frequency, urgency and nocturia, then when presenting you can say predominantly patient has got voiding symptoms. Or if there are both type of symptoms, then you can say that sir, patient is having mixed symptoms and the symptom score is severe. So those things were missing here. Okay, like how we used to remember it by a small mnemonic, piss and fun, overflow, intermittency, straining, sense of incomplete evacuation. These are the voiding symptoms. And frequency, urgency and nocturia, fun. These are the storage symptoms. So you got both the source separately and then you present it saying that okay, predominantly voiding or predominantly storage. If there is chronic retention, then it will be probably patient will not have, only have overflow incontinence or urgency frequency. So there you will get some idea of what you are talking about.
See, this will help also for the treatment, because if patient has got more of the storage problem, okay, and if you do surgery, he will worsen. But if he has got more of the obstructive symptom or voiding problem, then if there is a failure of your medical treatment, there are good chances that he will improve. At the same time, you will decide the combination of the treatment.
So the enlarged prostate may be causing some changes in the bladder. That's why there are also storage symptoms, which will maybe reduce in 3 months or maybe not. Why do they not reduce, Kaushal?
Sir,
Patient
one is the
has al-
volume of the prostate is very large. Median presence of median lobe is there.
In the bladder. So bladder changes may become permanent.
detrus
The
Yes, sir.
obstruction is
Detrus
not-
are under activity.
and collagen deposition.
Yes.
Kaushal, what is the drawback of IPSS score? Means is IPS? Are you aware of any other scoring systems for LUTS?
Yes, sir. American AUA, sir.
AU and IPSS are exactly
Same.
the same.
actually
Yes, sir. One Danish system is also there,
Danish.
sir.
Okay, and so how does Danish system differ from IPSS?
Because if you know, even you
Yes.
can answer.
actually I also know the scores, but I don't know the details about it.
So find out, okay, homework.
So the difference between Danish and IPSS is that in Danish system, for every symptoms, they also look at the bother caused by every symptom, which is not there in IPSS score.
So
you
actually,
yeah,
yes, so the IPSS actually IPSS includes the bothersome score. The AO symptom score will not include the bother score. Yes.
Correct. Quality of life, QOL.
for every
Yes.
symptom
Yeah,
there
yes,
is for every symptom there is
Yes, sir.
say analysis of bother.
Yes.
Okay, so if I remember it right, Danish system has more than 20 questions.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Please proceed.
There is no issue of
Someone has written that, Shashank has written that incontinence also is not included in IPSS.
Yes, so incontinence as well as post-void symptoms, like say post-void dribbling, these things are not included in IPSS
Yes.
score.
We always have to evaluate those by asking negative history or patient tells.
The most important thing is IPSS system means when you are saying this, you are not knowing actually the agony or the bothersome thing about the patient. Clinically, how much he is disturbed, that you will not be able to know.
Absolutely.
There is a recall bias is also there, sir.
Yes. I think let's proceed.
Yeah, let's proceed.
there is no issue of fever, there is no issue of dysuria, there is no issue of hematuria, there is no issue of trauma to the patient, there is no issue of periurethral discharge, there is no issue of traumatic catheterization in past.
Yeah, you want to ask any other question, Kaushal?
Is there any history of back pain?
No, there is no history of back pain or any bony
Any
pain.
stone disease in the past?
Lithuria.
No, no, there is no history of
Yeah.
stone disease or passing of stone, history of passing of stone per it.
History of any spine surgery or spine trauma?
No, there is no history of spine surgery or any spine.
History of CVA, stroke, or any medical comorbidities in the past.
He's having medical comorbidities of hypertension. There is no history of diabetes mellitus.
Read the whole past history.
Okay.
There is more important stuff in that.
Yeah. Patient is a known case of hypertension and is on medication. There is no history of diabetes mellitus. There is no history of TB or TB contact. Bowel and appetite normal. No addiction. Patient having past history of TRP done in 2014. Details are not available. And patient also giving history of left inguinal hernioplasty done 10 years back. There is no history of allergy. No history, family history not significant.
Yeah, anything else? Kaushal,
And
you
this,
want to
yes,
ask
sir.
any other
This,
question?
yes, sir. This TURP was done in 2014. What were the symptoms at that time? Is there same symptoms?
Actually,
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you. Basically, he just he just said that he used to have difficulty in passing urine, and in one local hospital a doctor ने दूरबीन से prostate निकाला. That is all he says. He has no documentations, no discharge card, nothing.
Okay.
And there are no
So basically he had a voiding problem.
Yes, he just says
Primarily.
he could not pass urine properly. That's it.
And after surgery, patient was then back to normal. Like his urine was.
That's what he says. And then he says now
Yes.
since 6 months again he developed all these symptoms, and now he has
Similar
got
complaint.
retention.
Fine. So anything very specific, something you want to ask?
Vikas,
Kaushal or Vikas?
Whether any histopath is available, like
No details are available.
Nothing.
no details. Okay.
he has not
Okay.
got anything.
Okay.
Okay. So now what do you like to
But
do?
he does say कि डॉक्टर ने बोला कैंसर नहीं है.
Okay.
So Vikas, now what you want to do?
So I would like to examine the patient for the clinical examination, general examination, and
Yeah.
for rectal examination,
Okay.
and proceed.
Right. Prashant, can you give us a detail?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Detail regarding?
No, now general examination.
General
Yes, sir.
he has
Yes,
asked,
sir.
yeah?
Yes, sir. In general examination, patient is conscious, cooperative, well oriented to time, place, and person. Performance score, Karnofsky score is 90. Pulse is 80. BP is 130 by 90. Respiratory rate is 18 per minute. Patient is afebrile. There is no pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, or lymphadenopathy. Systemic examination.
Yeah.
On systemic
I
examination.
just want to go back to the
Yes, sir.
history.
Yes, sir.
This thing, because
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you, okay, when the patient is telling that he was already operated in 2014, and
Yes.
now again in 2020 he has developed acute retention of urine.
Yes.
Anything else you will like to ask, even though he has said that the doctor said that there is no malignancy?
I would like to ask whether he's having any severe backache or bony pain to rule out malignancy.
No, there is no history of backache or bony pains given by
Normally, how many, if you do a proper QRP, normally how many
Yes.
years it takes to get it enlarged and cause obstruction or symptoms? So when you're doing
Around
QRP,
5 to 10 years, sir.
Yes, sir.
yeah, 10 to 15 years. So when you're doing
Yes.
QRP,
Yes.
patient may ask you, okay, will I have a recurrence? If
Okay.
yes, then after how many years? Then you have to give them answer.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
On systemic examination, per abdominal examination is on inspection, per abdominal examination is normal. There is no scar or sinuses. Patient having 16 French Follies in situ. Genital examinations are normal. Hernial orifices are
But he
normal.
has a scar, na? That inguinal hernia scar
Yeah.
is there. That is normal.
Yeah. On palpation, inspectory findings were confirmed. Per abdomen on palpation is normal. There is no guarding rigidity, tenderness. Scar is healthy on left side. Urethra follies in situ. Testes and scrotum normal. Perennial sensations are normal. And skull and spine examination is normal.
Show DRE.
On digital rectal examination, grade 3 enlarged prostate, smooth surface, firm in consistency, rectal mucosa is free, medial sulcus is obliterated, upper limit cannot be reached, anal tome is normal, bulbocavernosus reflex is normal. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Vikas.
Yes, sir. Based on the examination and clinical history, I'd like to make the differences. The first one will be bladder outlet obstruction, secondary to benign prostatic enlargement, and second will be
But what about this is what he has said is only, Prashant, you have said only inspection or you have completed everything?
Yes, sir. It
No,
is
no, everything is
palpation
complete, sir.
completed.
Okay. So, okay. Now, what is your differential diagnosis?
Yes,
bladder outlet obstruction,
Bladder
secondary
outlet
to benign prostatic enlargement.
Why you're saying benign prostatic enlargement? Benign prostatic enlargement is what? Clinical diagnosis?
Yes, sir. Benign.
No, sir, it is histopathological diagnosis, sir.
Then
That is
like-
benign prostatic hyperplasia.
no, but why you want to say benign?
Sir,
Because patient is not having clinical history of backache or
No. But
signs of
then-
malignancy clinically, no history of anorexia, weight
But
loss.
why you want to say? Why can't you
I
say
suggest in
enlargement of the
exam-
prostate?
In exams, just
Just
say
say enlarged prostate,
prostate,
na?
most probably benign.
Yeah.
Maybe malignant, like that. You can
But
say.
that also you
Tanvi,
can.
don't make a commitment in when you're giving diagnosis. What Tanvi is saying is correct. You just say a patient has an enlarged prostate and we are under evaluation.
Okay.
Most likely benign, but I would like to further investigate.
See what happens when you say something extra. Okay, your attention is diverted, and examiner's attention is also diverted, and he is very happy to ask you regarding that, and he will not go into management because time will not be there.
Yes.
So please, don't divert attention. It's very simple to say bladder outlet obstruction, most probably secondary to enlarged prostate.
Okay, so Kaushal, now what do you want?
we'll proceed for investigations, madam. Routine blood investigations, CBC, RFT.
Kaushal,
Yes, sir.
why you are not suspecting stricture?
Catheter went easily, sir, smoothly.
Is on
So
16
most
French.
likely stricture is not there.
Yeah.
Other diagnosis can be vesical calculus with benign enlargement, prostatomegaly.
Okay, fine.
Sir, I have a question for the students. Should they add neurogenic bladder or something in their DD?
See, you have to support your neurogenic bladder. What is the cause of neurogenic bladder? There has to be some either trauma or some spine problem or diabetes.
And
Without
the
any
exam indirectly rules out neurogenic bladder with anal tone normal and perianal sensation present.
And patient with a painful retention.
Yes.
And somebody in the chat has very nicely pointed out bladder neck contracture. With the history of TURP, that must be kept in mind. It's a good point.
yeah, but again the catheter will not go easily, na?
Yes, sir, but it may not be completely stenosed. Like stricture is very narrowing. Sometimes bladder neck, you see that it is closed quite a bit, but police may go.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Vikas,
Yes.
now what you like to do?
Yeah, I'd like to do complete blood count, creatinine, and so ultrasound.
UMPS, sir, and urine examination.
Yes.
And
Urine routine examination.
urine you will do complete blood count, creatinine,
And uroflowmetry, sir.
but
Patient-
retention. You will
He has
do
not passed.
uroflowmetry with the
No,
catheter.
No. No, sir.
Ultrasonography of the kidney urinary bladder. I would like to see for any upper tract changes. See bladder changes, like whether he's having any diverticulars or bladder is grossly distended. And
Now question number 1, why you want to do ultrasonography KUB?
So whenever you are talking in exam, you people have to keep your presence of mind. Like you said, stricture is ruled out because Foley's catheter went. But now you're saying sonography to see whether bladder is distended. Patient has a Foley's catheter.
yes, sir. No, bladder diverticular. Yes.
Then you also
Bladder.
said changes. Maybe there was hydronephrosis and that is resolved now since so many days catheter is there.
Yes.
So that presence of mind has to be kept in exam.
Yes.
Now I am telling that this patient has got a CA rectum.
Yes, sir.
Sir is giving me.
Suppose this patient has got a CA rectum.
Okay.
So you will ask for only ultrasonography KUB?
No, sir. Then we have to do.
So always, why? When he is doing sonography, what else he is doing? He's not going to do anything extra. You
Yes.
always ask for abdomen and pelvis because otherwise you
Yes.
will lose many other things.
Yes.
Maybe your patient has CA prostate and you find some gross lymph nodes.
Yes.
and there is an increase in size from 2014 to 2020.
So there is
Correct?
one question:
Yes.
should PSA
So
be
you-
done at this point?
PSA should be done or not?
Yes, sir. It should be done, sir.
Yes.
When you will not do PSA?
When the life expectancy is less than 10 years and the
No,
doing
no.
PSA will not change
Now
the
the
management of.
patient comes with a history that yesterday catheterization was done. Will you do
Yes.
PSA?
Yes. No, sir. Like
So
to
when
wait
you
for.
so
Like to wait for 5 days, at least 3 to 5 days, and then do the PSA.
yeah.
Because
So here the
immediate catheterization
catheterization was done how many days back?
It was actually done, and then patient flew from the other country. So exactly, I'm not able to.
3 weeks. 3 weeks back it
weeks.
was done,
3 weeks.
na, the
Yes, sir.
catheterization.
3 weeks, so we can do PSA. Sir.
So you like to do total PSA or free PSA?
So
We
total
need
PSA.
to do
initially.
total PSA, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just show the report.
Sir, should I? Blood investigation suggestive of HB 12.1 gram, TLC count 8,400, creatinine was 1.2, PSA was 2.04, urine routine suggestive of pus cells.
Slide is not seen. Yeah, now it's seen. Yeah, Prashant, now it's
Yes.
seen.
Urine routine microscopy suggestive of 20 to 30 pus cells, and urine culture was suggestive of growth of E. coli present, and PSA was 2.04. And this is sonography plate of the abdomen and pelvis. Hello.
So read the sonography. What all you see in the images, he's already put it up.
Kaushal,
Kaushal,
Yes, ma'am.
Try to
Side
read.
left or right is can appreciate. There is
That's okay. But
prostate is
comment.
grossly enlarged.
Yes.
Yeah, prostate is grossly enlarged. You can see, and there is a thickening of the bladder wall, and hydronephrotic changes are there in left or right. I don't know.
Is it gross hydronephrosis?
So this side there is little.
Yeah, no, I'm asking him. Manish.
Yes, sir. Gross hydronephrosis. Yes.
How do you say that?
Yes, thinning of parenchyma on one side it is seen, sir.
Can you see the image on the second and third row of the first film?
And third row. Yes, sir.
See how severe it is.
Yes, sir. Thinning of parenchyma is there and dilatation of calyces is there.
And literally like Mickey Mouse sign,
Yes, sir.
which is of course not applicable here, but I'm just saying how much hydronephrosis is there that you can't even see the parenchyma.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So this was an important finding which you should say. While telling you to read sonography, if you just say a prostate is grossly enlarged and stop there, how will it work? So one side kidney is good, the other side kidney is showing severe hydronephrosis. So what do you think? Why this hydronephrosis is there?
Yes, sir. Because of gross prostatomegaly with back pressure changes.
Why only on one side? Why not on the other side? Can it be possible?
Yes, sir. Because of pop-up mechanism, the one side is
Very good.
compromised.
You give the answer, but you don't know how to defend. For sure. It is possible on one side. It is called pop-up mechanism.
Yes, sir.
Where else do you see pop-off mechanism in urology?
Posterior urethral wall.
Posterior wall.
Yeah, very good. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Prashant, read the report.
Sir, actually, we don't have the report, but
Okay.
On UHG, patient was having 244 gram prostate, 8.3 by 6.4 centimeter, and bladder wall was thickened with left-sided hydronephrosis with hydroureter nephrosis.
Correct. They said all that. Only polyps we would not appreciate much. It's okay. Okay. Next, what do you want now? PSA is also normal. Sonography is normal. Means sonography of the right kidney is normal. Left side is hydronephrotic. And prostate is grossly enlarged. Now what do you want to do?
His culture is positive, sir, for E. coli. So we'll treat the infection first.
Very good. Then simultaneously anything else?
Vikas,
urography.
what is your plan now? First of all, you decide what you want to do.
So Foley's catheter was there for 3 weeks. Patient has come to India now. Okay. After that we have repeated sonography.
We'll change the catheter, sir.
Arey Baba, after 3 weeks also hydronephrosis itna hi hai.
Yes.
So what do you think about the kidney now? You will
And
have to.
size of prostate is 244 grams.
So you have to talk to patient now. Something you have to do. Patient has come all the way from abroad for Dr. Kaushal. Come to KIMS Institute. Now what is Kaushal going to tell him?
Kaushal.
We'll explain him about the, yes, sir.
Yeah, tell us.
There is a regrowth of prostate.
Okay.
So we'll explain him the options available, and then.
So what is an option available?
I gave you a hint.
Open prostate.
Kaushal, I gave you a hint that there is something wrong with the left kidney.
Yes, sir. I would
Yes,
like
sir.
to document the function of the kidney by doing
People
the
are not
urography.
You are only talking patient has come all the way from abroad.
So what are the causes of left-sided hydronephrosis and hydroureter?
What all can be the causes? So one you said pop-up mechanism. Can there be anything else?
Lower ureteric calculi, stone,
Yeah,
or
can it be associated? It can be, no?
yes,
And why it is not seen on sonography?
the ureteric calculi are like
Why it is not seen if it is there?
secondary to cystitis or
Some-
second bladder.
So many times the ultrasonography will not show you even vesical
Yes.
calculus. Why?
Yes.
That calculus may be hidden behind the median lobe, sir.
So if this is a 244 gram of prostate,
Yes.
are there chances that the stone in the lower end of the ureter may be behind the prostate and not seen?
Yes.
Yeah, possibility is there.
Yeah. So what are the other possibilities? One is a stone, you said. Second is this back pressure changes. Third,
That
We use
Yes,
a
sir.
narrowing.
that kidney may be already hydronephrotic because of some other pathology, like pH obstruction.
but hydroureter is there.
Yes, sir.
We use
What
a
else
narrowing
it
due
can be?
to chronic outlet obstruction and diffuser hypertrophy.
Yeah, correct. So that is a outflow obstruction, you said. It can be reflux or it can be hypertrophy of the muscles, which is causing
Yes.
correct constriction of the
Yes.
lower end of the ureter.
Yes.
Then you said stone. What else it can be?
So,
Even though PSA is not raised,
yes.
correct?
Yes.
Are there any chances of malignancy?
So sir is just making you think now it can be a large prostate involving the ureter and there could be hydronephrosis. Isn't it indirect evidence?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Or
When-
any other bladder pathology behind the bladder, behind the prostate?
Some tumor growing into the bladder or the large growing into the bladder causing hydronephrosis.
Yes.
In this case, can you enumerate the 4 causes? Vikas, can you tell us the four
Yes.
different
Yes, sir.
causes why
Lower
that
aortic stone, the
the
VUJ
most
narrow
common is a pop-up mechanism because of
pop-up mechanism. Yes.
because of
Then
back pressure changes,
back
correct?
pressure.
And large prostate. That is first. Second, there can be accompanying lower ureteric
VUJ
calculus.
net.
Yeah.
Yes.
Third
Then
will be
VUJ stricture secondary to hypertrophic detrusor, and fourth is the prostate itself causing compression, the VUJ or CA prostate.
associated bladder pathology like malignancy.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
You have to be very quick. Fine. So now what else you want to do?
Like to do contrast, sir.
Okay,
Multiphasic CT abdomen pelvis with contrast.
Tanvi, we have done it.
Sir, we had done it, but we don't have films. Can I
Okay.
just tell them the report?
Yeah, please.
So it's a good thing that you now started thinking about the kidney and not going directly for the.
Yes, sir.
In exam, very important, Kaushal. You learn today that
Yes.
your mind has to be open and think everything right from up to down. Sometimes they will suddenly give you a spotter where they will show you digestion, but the patient may have some, bony involvement of like Goraksha sir had shown at one X-ray. Everybody was looking at retained stem, but the patient had full-blown metastasis of the spine.
Yes,
So
sir.
everything is important from kidney till outlet, everything. Okay. Now, okay, CT report. Tanvi.
So on CT urography, right kidney is normal, left kidney there is hydronephrosis with hydroureter. There is no evidence of any narrowing or stricture. On passage of contrast, both the kidneys are taking up the contrast, and bladder wall is thickened 4.5 mm. There is no diverticulum or stone inside the bladder, and prostate is same, around 230 cc prostate. And 40 bulb is seen in situ.
Yes. Now, Kaushal, what you will do?
Yes, sir. There is now no other pathology detected other than prostatomegaly. So we'll treat his infection first, and then we'll give him the options available.
Like,
Yeah, surgical option. He needs a surgical treatment, and surgical options available are the, sir, open prostatectomy or laser prostatectomy.
now, suppose if I tell you that the literature is saying
Urine.
that first retention of urine, you should always give medical line of treatment and catheter-free trial. Will you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. We can.
Gross prostatomegaly, man, 244.
So for gross,
But he is not going to respond to medical treatment, sir.
So then you can say that there is already what is one of the indications for surgery? You guys are missing a major point here.
Yes, sir.
pressure
Back pressure
upper
changes
tract
and
changes.
Upper tract changes, man. Come on.
yes, sir.
What are the absolute indications for surgery? What are the absolute indications for prostatic surgery?
So now tell us what are the absolute indications.
Recurrent
So patient
urinary tract
refractory to
infection.
medical treatment. Yes, sir.
That is last.
Yeah.
Okay. Bolo.
Yes, sir. Refractory to medical treatment, sir. Patient willing for surgery. And then there are back pressure changes. Patient want to go for surgery, sir. Yes, sir.
Correct.
Then there are back pressure changes. There are upper tract changes, and creatinine is rising. Hematuria is there, and BPH with vesical calculus, and BPH with diverticulum.
Recurrent UTI. Recurrent hematuria.
Recurrent UTI.
One hematuria. Recurrent hematuria, recurrent urinary tract infection. Even bladder stone now has become a relative relative indication. Earlier it was
Yes.
bladder stone, you also always have to operate. If the bladder stone has got a 40-gram prostate, maybe you don't need to do it. You can give medical management, no?
Yes, sir.
And if you are not in this case, But suppose of 40-45 grams phosphate is there, patient has got retention, the first time retention, then you can give catheter-free trial, and if it is refractory, then he requires surgery. So again,
Presence of
please enumerate properly, nicely. One of you, Vikas, can you tell us systematically?
Yes, sir. The indication for the surgery, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The recurrent UTI, hematuria, the upper tract changes, raised creatinine, patient is refractory to medical line of management, not willing for continuing medical management, and bladder stone and bladder diverticula associated with
And refractory return means
yes,
catheter-free trial is failed.
failed. Yes.
Correct? So these
Yes.
are the important indications, right? Okay. So now in this case, what we like to do?
So I would like to do the urodynamic study also of the patient, sir, prior to the surgery.
So now what are the
Because-
indications for urodynamic study?
How you want urodynamic man in this case?
The patient has back pressure changes and chronic long-standing retention of the urine, like prostatic symptoms. So, like to document pre-op whether the patient is having any neurogenic element or not, because it might not be relieved fully after the surgery. So,
Was it a chronic retention or
Do you
acute
expect any
retention?
neurogenic element here? I don't expect
uh,
neurogenic element.
This patient had acute retention or chronic retention?
yeah,
Then-
he had acute retention, sir.
So
Acute
if he had
retention,
acute
sir.
retention, why you are talking about
Acute
But
neurogenic
history is not coinciding with the retention. So if he had acute retention, he would not have upper tract changes and left-sided hydrourethronephron. So looks like long-standing.
or it is
based on
acute
the-
on chronic?
Yeah, it can be. Yes, sir.
What are the indications of urodynamic study in prostatic enlargement?
So post-white residue more than 300 ml. Patient is having more of a storage symptoms and suspicious of
Problems.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Previous failed surgery, sir. Then patient's age less than 50 years and more than 80 years.
More than 80 years.
Neurogenic bladder we are suspecting. And his Qmax, if we are done, it is more than 15 ml per second. And still he has retention. That time we can do a EDS.
Yes, the
The 1000 ml of urine was drained when he had retention. Then in that
Yes.
case, you think it's a flabby bladder, chronic retention. Then in that case also you can do urodynamic.
Yes.
Sir was saying something, Maheshwari sir.
Maheshwar, you were saying something.
yeah. No. He said peak flow rate more than 15 with retention. I said peak flow rate more than 15 with symptoms, not with retention.
Correct.
Yes.
So, but in this case, would you like to do urodynamic study?
Mm, no, sir. In this case, there is no indication, sir.
If you would like to do urodynamic in this case, what type of urodynamic will you do? Is there some
So,
urodynamic?
Video
Video
urodynamics.
urodynamics, yes.
Very good, very good. Why?
So
We
to
can see the reflux
on the
or
on the
problem.
Correct. That will also get documented in the same study.
So fine. So now what will you, Vikas, you agree with Kaushal
yes.
that he will not do urodynamic study?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Someone has asked about can you explain bedside urodynamic study?
Maheshwari sir.
What I used to do bedside is totally different. Not like put the catheter and attach saline, because earlier it was not there, and see the how much fast it is going, how much it is filled up, and at the end, like after 400-500 cc of saline is gone, then the bladder will start contracting, and you can see in IV said that the column is moving. So depending upon how much it is moving, for example, if it is moving only 10 centimeter or it is moving 40 centimeter, depending on that, I used to judge whether the contractions are good enough or not, whether the patient has got neurogenic bladder. This is what, according to me, is a bedside urodynamics.
You see, in today's time, more than bedside urodynamics, we have to talk of non-invasive urodynamics.
Ambulatory.
So, can either of you talk about non-invasive urodynamics? What is it and how do you do that?
Something called ambulatory urodynamics also.
Because
Vikas?
Non-invasive urodynamics. Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
So basically what they do is they would apply a compression to the urethra and make the patient pass through it. Okay.
yes, a penile compression.
Penile compression, and that penile compression device itself has a pressure measuring gauze.
Yes.
So at the time of passing urine, how much pressure is generated in the urethra, which indirectly give you an idea about the pressure in the bladder.
Yes.
So that is called as a non-invasive urodynamics.
Yes.
There is also one more way of non-invasive urodynamics, which is called as a condom catheter urodynamic study.
Yes, condom.
Okay, so these are the two. Then there are a lot of other radiological tests which will tell you about the possibility of bladder outlet obstruction being significant. Okay, say one of them is called as PCAR, PICAR. Okay. So what PICAR means is, you see, they look at the transverse section of the prostate and they compare the transverse section of prostate to a perfect circle. Now, ideally, means normally a prostate should not be a perfect circle. They analyze by computer how much the border of the prostate matches a perfect circle. So if the matching to a perfect circle is more than 0.8, then that's a sign of significant obstruction. So this is PICAR, PCAR. Then you can also look at bladder wall thickness. Can somebody tell me what is the significance of bladder wall thickness?
Tell us
what is the significance?
Yes, it indicates the bladder outlet obstruction.
severity.
So how much thickness would be
Severity of
significant?
bladder outlet obstruction. More than
much
5
The
5
distended,
mm. Yeah.
it should be up to 5 to 6 millimeter.
No. ऐसे मत बात करो.
Yes, sir.
You see, I'll tell you. If bladder is full to 150 ml, then more than 5 millimeter is significant. If bladder is filled to 250 ml, then more than 3 millimeter is significant. And that has to be measured on the anterior bladder wall at least 2 to 3 places. And then you take average. Okay. What is, say, bladder weight? Any idea about bladder weight?
Sir, there was some paper about the intravesical protrusion of the prostate
Yes,
also. No?
that one thing at a time. So let's talk about bladder weight first.
No idea.
No idea? Okay. So what they do is, on sonography, you calculate the outer circumference of the bladder and then you again draw a line on the inner circumference of the bladder. So the serosa and probably the mucosa. And again, by computer, considering the, say, value of the tissue to be 1, the volume that you generate is equal to the weight in grams. So if the weight is more than 35 grams, that is a sign of obstruction. Have I made it clear what I wanted to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So non-invasive things are, one, as I've said, PICAR. Second is bladder wall thickness. Third is bladder weight. Fourth is, as Hiren sir was saying, IPP, intrapenile protrusion. Manzoor, I'll repeat that. First, let's go to IPP. Yes, Kaushal, any idea about IPP?
Yes, sir, it's the intravesical protrusion of the prostate.
Okay.
Less than 5 mm is grade 1, 5 to 10 is grade 2, and more than 10 mm is grade 3.
Yes. And this again indirectly correlates with the amount of obstruction. Okay. So if
Yes, sir.
patient has significant IPP, the possibility of having significant bladder outlet obstruction is very high. Dr.
He is less
Mansoor in
likely
chat,
to.
come again.
Yes, sir. His intravesical protrusion is there. He is less likely to respond to medical treatment. That is the
Absolutely.
indication for surgery.
But
Yeah.
if no, it is not an indication for surgery. What it says is that if IPP is high, the possibility of response to medical management is low, and the possibility of progression of the disease is high.
Yes, right.
So you don't decide treatment based on the prostate weight or IPP, but you decide predominantly on the symptoms. Right.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
I'll just explain the bladder weight again. You calculate the weight of the bladder by drawing a margin over the serosa and over the mucosa. And then the weight with serosa is, weight from mucosa is subtracted from weight from serosa. And what you get will be the bladder wall weight. If bladder wall weight is more than 35 grams, it is significant. Okay. And one more parameter now is what is called as prostatic urethral angle.
Yes, angle.
Okay, what is that? Can somebody elaborate that?
Vikas,
Yes, sir. The angle made by the the prostate with the bladder neck. The less is exactly can't didn't remember, sir. But if the angulation is more more obtuse, then it will tell us the severity of the obstruction. Like
Manzoor has written it is 45 degrees, but if
45
I
degrees. Yes.
write 35 degrees, yes. So
Yes.
it is 35 degrees, not 45 degrees. You see, this is measured on MRI of the prostate. You draw a line along the long axis of prostate and you draw a line along the urethra.
Yes.
And where these two lines intersect, if this line is more than 35 degrees, then it is considered as one more sign of obstruction. Okay. Any other sign you are aware of which shows obstruction? So understand one thing, that in none of these we take size of the prostate as a criteria. Means I would want to slightly contradict what was discussed before. I would not operate this patient just because he has got 244 gram prostate. I would operate this patient because of his significant symptoms. And if this patient desires voiding trial, it is still worth giving voiding trial to the patient. So the decision of surgery will be in discussion with the patient. You can give voiding trial to any patient, explaining him very well that maybe voiding trial will not work. Further, that this severity of hydronephrosis, where the cortex has become nearly papery thin, is extremely difficult to explain only based on prostate. So I would definitely feel that maybe he had some die-down reflex, because we do not have his previous reports. So one of the images where a sagittal section is shown, it really looks like a contracted kidney, and maybe an old die-down reflex would be something I would keep in watch. Advising urodynamics, you will never go wrong, because this is one more step which helps you take a firm decision. Urodynamics will only help you decide whether how patient will respond post surgery.
Yes.
So if you do urodynamics, probably in some patients you may not operate. So if there are two groups where one group underwent urodynamics in every patient and one group underwent no urodynamics, the need for surgery will be higher in group where there was no urodynamics. So whenever in doubt, always do a urodynamics. In this patient, because it is a re-procedure, because there is a previous history of surgery, previous history of surgery is also one more indication for getting a urodynamics done. So you will get a pressure flow study in this patient and then take a call.
In this case, when the prostate is so big, it is so
Yes, sir.
huge, even the even if you do urodynamic study, there are chances that you will not get a right report.
Sir, the possibility of not getting right report in this patient would be because of the reflux and really not because of the size of prostate.
Yeah,
Because
but
of
here,
you may not be able to get proper bladder pressures. So that may be a something which will dampen the vesical pressures. But still, sir, if the student asks for a urodynamics, he can never be faulted for it.
okay.
Okay.
So in exam, if they ask for, then it's okay.
You should be able to justify it. That is it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but now we have not done urodynamics.
No problems. No problems.
So now what? Now
Yes, question. Now what?
proceed. Vikas and Kaushal,
Yes.
one after the other, suggest what you all would do in this patient now.
Yes, sir. This is a very big, hugely enlarged prostate. So we'll explain the options available to him. We'll take proper consent and then we'll explain the options available.
So what options will you give him?
I would like to give the open prostatectomy the first choice,
Okay.
then HoLEP, and then
You
robotic
tell us what you
prostatectomy.
will do. What is done in your institute
do
and what
open-
you are comfortable.
Open
And
prostatectomy.
see,
Yeah.
you have to answer in two ways. First of all, what is the best for the patient, and second
Yes.
thing is what you can do the best.
Open prostatectomy will give option.
So you tell us what you will like to do. Will you like to do a TURP on this patient?
No, sir, he's saying open prostatectomy.
Okay, so you like to do open. So which method you like to do?
Transvesical open prostatectomy flares.
So you like to do Freyas. Okay.
And Vikas, what is your, what
Yes.
would you want to do?
Yes, the same. I would like to counsel the patient that I would like to give him the option of open simple prostatectomy. Yes. As it is the.
Before that, I will like to do a cystoscopy and then.
Okay.
Marcel, why did you select Freyers and not a Millins?
We have seen prayers only, sir.
Okay. No problem. You are right. If you're seeing the Freyas is on the answer. But now in this case, what are the options available? Vikas, what are the options available?
Yes, sir. So open simple prostatectomy, then lap assisted robotic prostatectomy, robotic prostatectomy. So there.
Then
And
what else?
Kaushal said one more option.
What else?
HoLEP is there.
Yeah, HoLEP.
HoLEP.
What else?
What
So
else
there
you
is a
like to do?
question in the chat box, sir. Can we do a staged bipolar?
Yeah, see, all the options are open to the
So more than
patient.
actually the gland is more than 75 grams. So and also it is previous TURP has been operated. It's a failed TURP. So that's likely that it will get resolved.
No, in good hands, TURP is a good option as well.
It's a failure rate of
Sir,
open
before that, we'll
prostatectomy.
just do cystoscopy and then decide, sir.
Yeah. So again, tell me what are the options available.
Cystoscopy
One,
will
you
tell,
said
yeah.
open.
Yeah.
You said
Yeah.
open prostatectomy. Second, you are saying HoLEP.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Third, you are saying stage
Yes, sir.
TURP,
TURP.
either monopolar
Yeah.
or a bipolar. Correct.
Yes.
So these are the options
Yes, sir.
available to you, and you will offer it to the patient, and you are well versed with Freyas prostatectomy. So you are telling him, you are offering him Freyas prostatectomy. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, patient says that what is the best for me? What you will answer?
Best in single step
Suppose
will
your
be
family
the
member has to undergo surgery. What you will offer him? Yeah, Vikas.
yes.
Kaushal. Just imagine someone in your family is facing this problem. So what you will offer him?
Open simple open prostatectomy like or robotic
You have one
prostatectomy.
option sitting in the audience. Dr. Maheshwari is there.
What about HOLEP? What about HOLEP?
Yeah.
Will you suppose? So you can send him to the person who is doing HOLEP
Yes.
day and night
Yes.
and can give the good result.
Yes.
Yeah, that is option is always there. But what
Yes.
are the advantages and disadvantages? If you do open surgery, what are the disadvantages? And what are the advantages?
Vikas, you give all the advantage and disadvantage
Yes,
of
sir.
open.
Yes, Vikas, tell us.
Yes, sir. So advantages are like it is the single stage procedure. It will remove the entire gland. The recurrence rate will be very low. It will be almost nil. And these are the advantages.
And what else?
Main advantage so you did not say.
Yes.
Open surgery, what is the main advantage?
So entire gland will be removed. So
That you said. Anything you are safeguarding?
Urethra.
like
Urethra.
yes.
Sometimes
You
it may
are-
take time. In expert hands, myself and Maheshwari sir, we have been doing HOLEP, we may finish it faster, but if somebody is not very good at it, may take 4 hours. You have instrument time of 4 hours in urethra.
Yes. Yes.
So then in that case, a big prostate, you are safeguarding the urethra. No?
Yes.
What is the disadvantage of open
no
surgery?
advantage is missed.
One more.
That if there are associated pathologies in the
Yes,
bladder, like
bladder. I would like to. I can see the bladder and
Yeah.
lower ureter.
all that can be.
You should not say, I can see the bladder. Before opening, you should do a cystoscopy. You cannot open and see the bladder. If there's a tumor, you must take stage 4.
No,
You
but the associated, like
Oh,
sometimes many
external.
times there are
Like a
stones.
stone, you can
that
say
miss.
associated
You
pathology.
cannot see on a cystoscopy also, you cannot see it on ultrasonography. But
Correct.
here the CT scan is done, so it's a different story. But otherwise,
Yeah.
when you do open surgery, if you know that surprises
should.
are there, that also can be removed,
Yes.
like a stone,
Yes.
bladder stone.
Or diverticulum can be addressed.
And what else?
Then
What is
any
the continence rate? The continence rate in millions, because it's directly under vision. Okay, it is much better.
Yes.
So what are the disadvantages?
what are the disadvantages of open
Disadvantage.
surgery? Come on, Vikas.
Disadvantages of the open surgery: surgical site infection, the blood loss,
Scar, no, there is a scar. Patient will be in
scar.
hospital
Yes.
for 7 days.
Yes.
Blood
Blood
loss,
transfusion.
infection,
Yes.
2 catheter, suprapubic, drain.
Yes. Yes. Morbidity will be more compared to the.
But urethra is safeguarded.
Yes.
So
Blood
what are the advantages of HOLEP?
Now, Kaushal, you answer this. Advantage and disadvantage of laser surgery.
So can green light also be done, or only you want to do HOLEP?
Kaushal,
What is the disadvantage of green light laser?
sir is muted.
Depth of penetration.
Such
Yeah,
a
because
it will take a lot of time. Firstly, secondly, the storage symptoms are very high because of burning of tissue. And then that smart system, so you will need at least 2 or 3 fibers for such a large gland.
So
You will
basically,
not-
for very large prostates, only two lasers are approved. That is thulium and holmium.
Holmium.
So first I would say holmium and second thulium.
Yeah, you did not mention anything about thulium. Thulium.
So, sir, Maheshwari sir, since you're doing it regularly, can you just teach the students a little bit about HOLEP in this case?
Fair. You see, HOLEP has a distinct advantage for large prostates because when you do for large prostate, the overall HOLEP enucleation efficiency is much higher. So it could be done either as a 2-lobe or a 3-lobe technique, depending on the configuration that you see in TROP. And it is possible to remove very large glands, means up till 200, 250 should be very, very comfortable. The largest gland reported from India is more than 600 grams, and largest gland reported in literature is nearly 1.4 kg. So any size of prostate can be enucleated based on your experience and your expertise. But at your level, if you ask for HOLEP for a gland between 100 to 150 grams, your examiners cannot fault you. Anything more than 150 to 200, it is better that you stress on doing open surgery. And then let them ask them whether HOLEP is possible, then you can say that yes, it is possible.
Yes,
the
sir.
only disadvantage of HOLEP for very large glands is that theoretically the risk of incontinence may be marginally higher. Again, risk of incontinence is higher in frail patients, diabetic patients, and patients who have very large glands. So whenever we do HOLEP for a very big gland, I would take a consent for probably a 2-stage procedure. Maybe I would do enucleation and morcellation in 2 different stages, and I would counsel the patient about theoretical risk of incontinence.
Okay, sir. So I think that is.
Yes. So now what is the best answer for this? Vikas, tell us.
Yes, sir.
Concluding all these things, what is your best answer?
So
Which
I'd
is the
like
best
to offer
procedure
the
for this
patient.
patient?
I would like to tell the patient regarding both the surgeries, the open and the HOLEP, and I would like to tell him the advantages and disadvantages of the same. Based on that, HOLEP will be preferred. Stage HOLEP will be better option, and equally good will be open. But I'd like to explain him the disadvantage as well of the surgery.
But do you think the disadvantages of open surgery is too high?
No, sir, not.
No.
I think in exam you can say open surgery.
I think, yeah,
Yes.
in this case, you better to stick to first open.
Open surgery. You should stress on open surgery. Let examiner go on laser.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Because this is ideal case for open.
You say open surgery.
Even if the person who is regularly doing, if he is
Yes.
well versed with open surgery, he will also offer open and laser second.
So you should talk about open, and when examiner asks for other options, then you can talk of the laser, either
Yes.
holmium or thulium. You can talk of bipolar enucleation, and you can talk of laparoscopic versus robotic simple prostatectomy. So these would be the 3 groups of non-open surgical procedures. But from your side, you stress on open. Let examiner ask these questions so that you can discuss those procedures in short and discuss open in more detail.
There are
Yeah.
people who are doing transvesical robotic prostatectomy also.
Yes.
आधा घंटा के बाद में फोन करना मेरे lecture में.
Yes.
So which are the different methods of open surgery?
The transvesical is Fayer's procedure.
Yeah.
Then retropubic is Millen's, and Young's is transperineal.
Okay. After Young, who had done the transperineal? Hardly anyone. Most of the people, I know only one, my boss, Dr. Wagh, who had a guts to do even on his father. But otherwise, I have not seen anyone doing Young's this thing, prostatectomy. But which one is the best? Freers
Based
or
on the
Millen's?
pathology,
Which one
Because
is better?
having yes,
indication of Freers and tell the indication of Millen's.
the patient is having simultaneous bladder stone and enlarged median lobe, so transvesical will be preferred option. Uh, and the retropubic option will be if patient is having isolated prostatic pathology and there's nothing, bladder need not to be opened. So that will be the for like retropubic option will be for only prostatic enlargement without any stone or diverticle.
Yeah, and what is the advantage of Millins? Just the way in Freers, the advantage is your bladder is you can do all the pathologies of the bladder. What is
Yes.
the advantage of Millins, which is
See, all this theoretical is given between Millins and Freers. But I'll tell you one thing, that when you are doing Millins prostatectomy for 150 200 grams of prostate, okay,
Yes.
the bladder neck is so wide that you can just lift it up and you can see inside the bladder. And even the 2 centimeter and 3 centimeter stone can be removed from the bladder.
Yes.
That is only for your knowledge. You may not tell this in exam, but this is a fact. When the very large prostate is there, and when you remove it, after removal of the prostate, okay, the bladder neck is going to be quite wide, because
Yes.
prostate has already made it and big bladder neck. So that
Yes.
space is going away. So you can see inside the bladder, you can remove even a big stone. So I don't think that practically, not in exam. So this is a disadvantage, because I have done cases where 2.5 centimeter stone, I have done Millins and I have removed the stone also. But what is an advantage of Millins over Freers?
yeah, what is the actual advantage?
There are two main advantages of Millins over Freers. Number one, when you are doing Millins prostatectomy, okay, the
Yes.
endotomy is in front of you. You are opening the capsule. You are seeing the
Yes.
bleeder. You are ligating the bleeder. Okay, so
Yeah.
the bleeding is always under the control. That is number one. And number two, when you are cutting the apex at the near the urethra, okay, it is always under vision, and you can safeguard the sphincter. So the chances
Right.
of incontinence are very, very
Less.
less in Millins.
Yes.
Because Freers is a very blind procedure.
Yes.
Okay, you are opening the bladder, you are putting your finger inside, looking in the sky, and you are removing the prostate. You also must have seen with your bosses, right or wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So comparatively, and the bleeding, again, the control of bleeding, sometimes it becomes so much, the bleeding, and even the post-operatively, it becomes very difficult. Pankaj, you want to add anything?
No, sir, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I was just discussing with Tanvi on message that I have a short presentation on the newer investigations for BPH. This was a talk I had taken for radiologists. So if there is time today or next time, I can share that presentation.
Today.
Today only, sir.
Because I think this, we can just go ahead with a little complication, as you can tell us what are the complications of HOLEP. Okay. I can tell them little complication of open surgery, TURP, and then we can just go ahead.
Yes, sir. Then you can do your presentation also today only then.
Yeah, your presentation. Can you just enumerate 2-3 important complications after HOLEP?
You see, the most important complication after HOLEP will be the risk of incontinence. Okay, that is and especially as I've said, in large prostates, in elderly men, in frail patients, and diabetic patients, this is one risk that you should always be telling the patients. HOLEP, as a part of the procedure, has morcellation as a very important part. So morcellation related complications are added complications to HOLEP. So there is a theoretical risk of taking bladder bite during morcellation. The risk of bleeding is there, but it is significantly less. The risk of fluid intravasation is significantly less. Further, because you are using normal saline, getting rid of that fluid is easier. So overall, other than incontinence, two-stage procedure, and a small risk of bleeding, I would really not worry too much about a 200-gram gland.
What about the stricture and bladder neck contracture?
I couldn't hear you.
Stricture and bladder neck contracture, which are very common in TURP,
is not very common in HOLEP.
Okay. Fine. And open surgery, Vikas, can you tell us?
Yes.
You already said, yes, all
Yes,
the
yes.
complications.
Yes.
So I
I
think
have
that,
a
yeah.
question. When they are doing frayers and there is bleeding, what are the different maneuvers by which you can control bleeding step by step? There are 3-4 different ways of
Kaushal, you can answer.
Hello.
how will you do that?
Yes, sir. We can under vision we can cauterize the bleeder. We can
Correct.
take a suture at say 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And if it is not working, we can pack the cavity.
Yeah.
And still it is not working, we can embolize, finalize embolization.
No, no,
No, but
before
you already opened, na?
Foley,
Why you want to embolize?
Yes, sir.
you can give Foley's catheter traction. If
It's not controlled by suturing and this.
yeah, so
Yeah.
after closing also, if the urine remains red, you can still do endoscopy and burn.
But when you are, see, when you have opened the
Cauterize.
patient, okay, and you are trying to stop the bleeding is not stopping, what else you can do?
So, the suture can be taken at the bladder neck.
Yes, you have
Through the
taken at the
urine.
bladder neck, you will take. You can take all around also.
What is that suture name called? All around? Yeah, Malamute suture.
Element. Yes.
Yeah. Then what about the obturator branch ligation? Anyone knows about that? In the literature, it is shown that, you know, you can internal ilia, you don't have to ligate the internal ilia.
Embolize.
Yeah, no, when it is
No.
going to the vesicle, na,
Yeah, yeah.
you can ligate that. When there is a life-threatening bleeding, you can do it. So that is also. And the last one, as you said, you can pack it. You pack it, okay, and then bring it out from the suprapubic and wait for 48 hours. And once the bleeding has stopped totally, then slowly you start removing the pack. So these are
And
the
one
maneuvers.
thing you missed was to give traction, no? Traction and irrigation at the
Correct. Fine.
and that figure of 8 suture at 5 and 7 o'clock position is called Halsted suture. Then the full circular suture which is taken at bladder neck, that is called Malamute suture.
Element.
And you can take sutures on the posterior prostatic capsule.
Pseudo.
Transfer sutures, that is O corner sutures.
Yes.
All these three are asked, huh? This
Yes.
is asked in theory also.
Yes.
Okay. I think Pankaj, you can go ahead with your presentation. And then we have got only last one small one case we want to ask them. That is 5 to 10 minutes.
So first we should do the presentation or first the
Okay,
small.
okay. Yeah, yes. Okay, then we just, along with this, we just do a presentation. I'm just saying a case presentation, and then Pankaj can go ahead.
Okay, fine. So Prashant, stop sharing.
Wow, Tanvi, you have a beautiful collection.
Yes, sir. Over the months, COVID months.
Wonderful. So I know whom to ask for when I need cases.
Yes.
You know what I'm doing?
Uh-huh.
My Pankaj, every time I see the patients, na, fadafad I take X-rays, I take all the details and keep on sending to her. We
Wow.
have got almost more than 100 cases by now.
Fabulous.
Someone is asking to unmute.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kaushal. Yeah.
Kaushal.
So quickly, this is just for 5 minutes, not more.
Tanvi will present and I'll ask you the question.
Yeah, with just the management of this patient. Okay.
Okay, Tanvi.
Kaushal, you accept my unmute, na?
Yeah, accepted.
Okay. Okay, so this is a patient who presented with dysuria and increased frequency since 3 to 4 days. And on examination, he had a palpable bladder up to the umbilicus. And on DRE, he had a grade 3 prostate. No nodules, rectal mucosa free, prostate was firm, BCR was positive, anal sensations were normal.
Okay. Show the next one, Tanvi.
So we did a urine routine. He had a few epithelial cells, 5 to 7 pus cells. CBC was almost normal. Creat was a little on the higher side, 1.9. And this is the sonography. I'll just read the report. Basically, he had a prostate which was enlarged with normal epitexture and calcifications with tip of median lobe prominent. There was no post-COVID residue, but he had mild bilateral hydronephrosis and hydroureter.
And vesical calculus, na?
Yeah, and he had a vesical calculus. So that was not seen on the USG, na, sir?
Yeah, it was on. So he had a 7 millimeter of vesical calculus, and this was an enlarged prostate. So now what you will do? Vikas.
Yeah, I would like to catheterize the patient as he's
Yes,
having
okay, catheterized patient. Now
and I'd like to.
he has got a 7 millimeter of vesical calculus, and he has got an enlarged prostate.
Yes, with upper tract changes. So.
And the raised creatinine.
Yes. I'd like to follow up from after 48 hours with the creatinine and to look for the nadir creat. Whether it is settled or not.
And then?
Yeah, it looks like he's having chronic urinary retention. So, like to post him for like to do urinary dynamic study in the patient.
Yeah.
To look for changes in Detro's effects and like neurogenic changes.
Okay.
So, sir, I'll just tell them what we did.
No, but now second thing is he is 92 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
his age is 92.
He is 92 years old, and 3 years back he has undergone angioplasty. Kaushal. Kaushal, you unmute him, Tanvi?
Yeah, I've unmuted, but he's there's some problem. Till then,
okay, because you can answer.
Yes, sir. He's 92-year-old, so still he has to be like for BPH and secondary stone. We have to treat him for the stone, but before that, would like to rule out the neurogenic component, age-related neurogenic component also.
Suppose he doesn't have neurogenic problems, still you want to operate him?
If patient like is fit for the surgery and he's not bedridden, he's like ECOG score is good, so you can offer him a surgery. Yes.
He's 92 years old. His creatinine is raised. Okay. Yes. He has got a very small stone. This is the first time his retention is there.
Yes.
Now what you like to do? And angioplasty is already done. He's a high risk patient.
Yeah.
Think simple. This is there is no puzzle in this.
I'd like to then bladder stone, we need to remove prior to
It is 6 to 7 millimeter.
See, I'll show you.
yes.
This is a stone.
Yes.
1 minute. Huh? Can you see here? Wait, I'll show you on another slide.
Okay.
Here, see. This is a
Yes.
stone. Can you see?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a very
Okay.
small stone. He's 93 years old on blood thinners and has to
Yes.
The
3 years.
CT was
Yes,
done because he had a
Yes.
bilateral hydronephrosis.
Hydroelectronephrosis. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So
would
that,
you consider medical management in this patient? And
yeah,
give
yeah. Yes, sir. If patient is unfit for surgery, we can give him the catheter-free trial, keep him on alpha blockers, combination therapy, in fact, and we can give catheter-free trial. And
After how many days you will give him catheter-free trial?
After giving tamsulosin,
After 1
Yeah, Kaushal, bolo.
yes, sir. After 1 week we can give after removal of stone if possible.
no, sir. Tamsulosin is given. We can give it after 48 hours.
So
if
which is the best
silodosin
drug? Which is the best drug for acute retention of urine?
Silodosin is
Yeah, silodosin and
Fast.
second one is
Silodosin, yes, sir. Fast.
silodosin and alfuzosin. Both are
alpha.
good.
Yes.
Both are good because it has been
Silodosin is well tolerated in old age, sir.
yeah. So you can give, as you are saying, we can give alfuzosin or silodosin, and you can give catheter-free trial. How much days silodosin will take, and how much alfuzosin?
What is the trial
8 hours.
called?
8 hours.
And
So-
what is the trial called for catheter free? हाँ, Alfor trial.
Alpha.
Study this ना theory में पूछते हैं. Alfor
Alfor trial, and usually after 24 hours after giving alfuzosin, you can give catheter-free trial. Okay,
Oh.
and it has been shown that how many? I think 25 to 30% of the patients they are benefited. Now, tell me what is the result after acute retention? Anyone knows it?
So I'll tell. You can just ask the further question.
Okay, fine. So you can give the catheter-free trial. Suppose a catheter-free trial, after that patient passes urine, now what will do? Will you like to do anything for the stone?
Uh, 7
Yes,
mm stone likely to get past periurethral, so we wait for the spontaneous expulsion meanwhile and follow up the patient.
Okay, so you can wait for some time. If it is not passing urine, I mean stone, then will you do cystoscopy and remove?
Yeah, it can be done. Yes.
Okay, then what you will do to the prostate that time? Patient has passed urine.
Yes.
Okay, and now you want to remove the stone.
Yes.
So what will you like to do? Will you like to do uroflowmetry and find out residual urine? And if the patient's condition is good,
Post-mortem.
can you do TRP at the same time?
So TRP will be a high risk compared to like cystoscopy and removal.
Exactly. So if the patient is passing urine and if the uroflowmetry is reasonably okay and patient is otherwise happy and comfortable, you may just do scopy and remove the stone.
Yes.
Yes. So the Alfor trial is success with trial without catheter on first day is 44%, second day 53%, third day 62%. And ideally the catheter should be removed in 3 to 5 days.
Fine.
And best and most rapidly acting drug is silodosin, but the trial was done with alfuzosin.
So now we did the same thing. We waited for 3 to 4 days. We asked, we asked for the catheter-free trial, patient started passing urine well.
Yes.
But since the patient had a urinary tract infection and other comorbidity, and he had other problem, what is the outcome, Tanvi? Prashant,
So he
can you?
huh.
Prashant, what is an outcome? Anyway, I'll tell you. This patient died after 5 days.
Due to cardiac causes.
Okay. So the idea of presenting this case is that we should not, be in hurry to take a decision for surgery. In some time, we have to keep ourselves cool and then decide what is the right treatment for the patient. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Fine. Okay,
Okay.
Pankaj, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Friends, I'll just share with you whatever I was discussing with you some time back. This was a talk I had taken for radiologists to tell them what's new in prostatic disease and what we expect from them. So let me just rush through the initial slides because you will know all this. So this is the acronym FISFUN. This is how we evaluate lower urinary tract symptoms. This is our decision-making process. And what I wanted to stress here to them was that there is no place for sonography here. So sonography doesn't become a part of decision-making. Rather, once your decision is made, then you look at sonography and decide what you want to do. So if you have decided for medical management, you would after that look at sonography and say, okay, prostate is large, I would give a combination treatment. Prostate is very small, I'll just give alpha blocker. Or once you have decided for surgery, you may decide between TURP or laser prostatectomy depending on the size of prostate based on sonography. You are all aware about sonography. We look for the prostate as well as complications related to prostate. You can see the enlarged prostate. You can see secondary effects of bladder outlet obstruction, like this patient has multiple small diverticuli. It can be a good substitute for urodynamics because you will be able to see back pressure changes and you will be able to see a lot of newer parameters like IPP, destructural wall thickness, and bladder weight. So these are the standard things we look at. The first image is bladder trabeculations. Second is bilateral hydronephrosis, large prostate with IPP, and the fourth is a large diverticulum. We know that size of prostate is not important. What is important is symptoms, and all decisions are based on the symptoms and not on the size of prostate. And this is something I was stressing to the radiologists, that they should not call any prostate as normal prostate, because we have seen small prostate like 14 to 18 grams which come with obstruction, and we routinely see more than 60-70 gram glands who are absolutely asymptomatic. So radiologists should just stick to saying the size of prostate and not comment whether the size is normal or abnormal. We all know what PVR is. We know that it has no relation to symptoms and complications. It is at best a safety parameter which needs proper follow-up. How to check it? Patient should not be drinking excess liquids. This is one error which happens in most radiology suites and in urodynamics lab where uroflow is done. They make the patient drink so much water that by the time patient passes urine and comes back for the post-void residue, he may have produced 50-60 more ml of urine, which indirectly impacts the post-void residue that is seen. So the fluid intake before any of these tests should be around 200 to 250 ml per hour, and patient should patiently wait for the bladder to fill. He should pass urine the way he normally passes urine. He should not try to do something different. And radiologists should take care that the gap between primary sonography and check of PVR should be less than 3 minutes. There is nothing like significant PVR, but if somebody has more than 50 ml, this needs to be kept on a watch because there could be a patient who has risk of progression. The significance is best left to treating physician because you would take other things into consideration. Here I would just want to share with you one very, very interesting story. An extremely senior cardiologist of Mumbai, he was carrying 300 cc post-void residue, went and met one very senior urologist that senior urologist called me, and this cardiologist had a prostate of more than 100 grams. So I got a phone call saying that we have a very VIP patient who needs a laser prostatectomy, and he needs to go to the best person in the world for laser prostatectomy. He cannot be operated in India. So when I received the phone call, I thought probably this urologist is talking of Amitabh Bachchan, but he was talking about a very senior cardiologist. I referred him to my, guide about laser, Professor Peter Gilling to Tauranga. Now, our friend cardiologist reaches Tauranga. The first question asked is, what is the IPSS score? His IPSS score was 6. His post-void residue was 300. His prostate size was 110 grams. My professor sent back the patient from Tauranga saying that patient's IPSS is low, bother score is low. He doesn't need any treatment. Now, after this visit to Tauranga, our cardiologist friend survived for around 11 more years without needing surgery and always carrying 300 post-void residue. Why I told you this story is to emphasize that do not take decisions solely based on post-void residue. This could be extremely fallacious and may not mean much in the complete scenario. But yes, if somebody has more than 3 cc, 300 ml post-void residue, you would seriously keep this patient on a proper follow-up. Detrusor wall thickness is very important. This would be inversely proportional to bladder filling. That means more the bladder is full, the thinner will be the detrusor wall. So at 250 ml, more than 3 millimeter bladder wall thickness is considered significant. This should be measured at least 3 places on the anterior wall, and then a mean of this should be taken. Again, radiology should take care that bladder should not be under full or over full. If the bladder is under full, the detrusor wall thickness would appear to be much more than what it really is. The problem with bladder wall thickness is it is not a reproducible test, and if you look at it at multiple places and at multiple machines, there may be a variation in bladder wall thickness. So though important, may not be an extremely important decision-making factor. IPP is important because it indirectly denotes a median lobe with a ball wall phenomena. So again, this is measured from the bladder neck till the topmost point where the prostate encroaches inside the bladder. Very rightly said by Kaushal, grade 1 less than 5, grade 3 more than 10, and grade 2 is between 5 to 10. Again, remember, this only implies obstruction. This is not an indication for intervention. So this just says that the risk of progression is higher, the risk of retention is higher, and risk of failure of catheter-free trial is higher. But this does not say that if patient has an IPP of 20 millimeter, operate. Patient with an IPP of 20 millimeter may be absolutely asymptomatic. I have a collection of at least 40 patients where IPP of more than 20 millimeter and a flow rate of more than 15 ml per second. A patient who had got his sonography done just on a health checkup, and they were referred to me for a significant IPP. So this is something which you observe, note, but don't take a decision based on this. We have said how we check this IPP, and this is how the radiologist would mark 2 points and the computer would measure this distance. Now, when you take detrusor wall thickness and IPP together, then both together the possibility of diagnosing bladder outlet obstruction is very high. So IPP more than 12 and detrusor wall thickness more than 7, 100% predicts obstruction. And one of these two parameters is there, that is IPP more than 12 or detrusor more than 7, then the chances of bladder outlet obstruction on pressure flow study is about 90%. So these two parameters would be important. I mentioned about bladder weight. So as I had said, 2 lines are marked on the inner lining of the bladder and on the outer lining of the bladder. A surface area of these two say markings is calculated, and you subtract one from other, and what you get is a bladder weight. Less than 35 non-obstructed, more than 45 obstructed, in between equivocal. I stand corrected here. I had said more than 35 is obstructed. It is more than 45 which is obstructed. Again, when measuring bladder weight, bladder should not be excessively full. It should be estimated at around 200 to 250 cc. And a radiologist really needs to give time and effort to measure the bladder wall thickness. So bladder wall thickness and bladder weight is being calculated in this patient. In the fourth image, I have just shown the two lines which denote the serosa and the mucosa. And these two lines will help us calculate the area of the bladder and indirectly the weight of the bladder. Prostatic urethral angle is measured on TRUS as well as on MRI. More than 35-degree angle is significant because if the angle is more than 35 degrees, a significant amount of detrusor energy is lost at the bend of this tube, and hence the obstruction is severe. So if prostatic urethral angle is high, this negatively correlates with the peak flow rate of the patient. Anything more than 35 is considered significant. So a vertical line is drawn in the long axis of the prostate, and a line is drawn along the prostatic urethra. And where these two say intersect, there you calculate the angle. This is again showing on TRUS angle being calculated. Again, all these angles are calculated by the computer of your sonography machine, and they will give you these answers. So friends, if our radiologists are trained to give us all these answers, our need for urodynamics can significantly reduce. So I feel the major utility of prostatic urethral angle is in a diabetic patient with a large prostate and retention of urine on a poorly contractile detrusor. I want to decide whether this patient will benefit by surgery or not. So if this patient also has a very high prostatic urethral angle, probably this patient would be able to void well after I do some form of prostatectomy. But if the angle is obtuse or say acute, then he may not benefit much. This is my thought about it. This is not from literature. Detrusor wall tension is also measured. This is measured by ultrasound technologies like vibrometry and elastography, and this has a good correlation with bladder wall compliance seen on urodynamics. PICAR I had mentioned to you, that is presumed circle area ratio. So when the prostate starts enlarging, it starts becoming a circle. So you draw a circle of the prostate and measure it with a presumed circle and see how much is the overlap. If overlap is more than 90%, this is significant for blood outlet obstruction. Are done only when absolutely indicated, and usually it is done as a part of biopsy, never as a single diagnostic tool. You see a lot of parameters in TRUS, like prostate volume is best diagnosed on TRUS. You can individually measure the transitional zone volume. Then transitional zone index will be a ratio of transitional zone volume and prostate volume. IPP is well seen on TRUS. Prostatic urethral angle can be checked. And last is prostatic urethral angle to volume ratio. This is one more parameter which correlates well with blood outlet obstruction. You can do a Doppler of the prostatic artery, measure the resistive index of the prostatic blood flow, and if the resistive index is high, that denotes obstruction. So these are all newer technologies which are being tried. So for a theory question, you should be aware of them. Probably they do not have a established clinical role at this time. So here it is being shown, artery is being marked on Doppler. You look at resistive index more than 0.75, the risk of retention is very high. The drawback, it is again operator dependent, and you may miss few patients with obstruction just looking at resistive index. MRI is commonly done in patients where you have suspicion of, say, raised PSA. In these patients, when you look at, say,
Sir, we can't hear you, sir.
No, we cannot hear him.
Yeah, I think he lost his connection. He'll just join back 2 minutes, I think. Yeah, we'll have to wait for 2 minutes. He'll just join back.
Tanvi, Gitesh sir is there. Unmute him.
Okay.
गीतेश सर आप कभी ज्वाइन किया? गीतेश सर आपने कभी ज्वाइन किया?
सर 20 मिनट हो गया।
अरे तो बोलने का था ना हम लोग को।
हाँ सर, सॉरी सर।
नहीं कोई इशू नहीं, चल रहा था टॉक चल रहा था, तुम्हें डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना बोल के बोला नहीं।
अच्छा, anyway, till he joins, you have heard everything. Now, what is your saying? There was one thing which Pankaj was stressing, that on the patient, this patient, our patient, you know the history. This patient had undergone TURP in 2014,
जी सर।
and last 6 months he had a difficulty. That is, he had LUTs, and then he went into retention. 16 French Foley's catheter was kept, and ultrasonography, it was 240 grams of prostate. Otherwise, neurological, there are no signs suggestive of any neurogenic bladder. Okay, now in exam, urodynamic study, whether it, if you say you can escape with that, or examiner may not like it.
There are some specific indications already.
Yeah, okay, 1 second. Pankaj is connected.
Connecting.
Pankaj, you can go ahead with your presentation. Tanvi,
Yes sir,
unmute him.
yes sir.
I'm sorry, I never realized when I lost the connection and I kept on talking.
No problem. So we heard everything up to MRI and resistive index of 0.75.
Let me open that presentation again.
Yes sir.
Yes, so I'll start with MRI.
Yes sir.
Is that visible?
Yes sir.
Okay. So routinely we do MRI whenever the PSA is borderline raised to take a decision whether we want to do a biopsy or not. If the PIRAT score is less, the MRI would also help us decide whether this patient's prostate is obstructed. So you would look at most of the parameters that we saw in sonography are better seen on MRI. The volume estimations are better. You can differentiate between the transitional and peripheral zone better. And you can also study the shape of prostate. As is seen in the third image, the prostatic urethral angle is also best checked on MRI because both the long axis as well as the prostatic urethra is very beautifully seen on the MRI. So on MRI, the prostate can be, say, classified into a pear-shaped or an apple-shaped. So apple-shaped would have a longer transverse length and a shorter longitudinal length, and pear-shaped would be other way around. So oval shape, which is an apple shape, is more, rather a longitudinal shape is more obstructive, and this indirectly also correlates with the Picard that I had mentioned. So the more circular the prostate, more likely it to be obstructed. On MRI, they have classified BPH and they have said 7 types of BPH. Again, this is more theoretical, probably has no clinical significance. Then because this was a presentation for the radiologist, I just tried to cover what problems they routinely face. So if a patient comes with a overfull bladder, they should not be doing it. under full bladder, they should be waiting. And if the bladder is empty, they should not report anything about the prostate. In the first scan, they do a complete abdominal screening, tell us the prostate size, give us the pre and post-void residual urine, give us the IPP, give us the detrusor wall thickness, and if possible, give us the bladder weight. So if a radiologist gives me all this information, for me to take a decision about treatment would become extremely easy. Follow-up scan would depend on what I have done for the patient. If it is just a medical management, I would keep a watch on changes in IPP, bladder weight, detrusor wall thickness and residual urine, or development of any new complications or any incidental findings. Post-surgery, you look at UR defect. Most reports sometimes do not mention residual urine, and if they mention residual urine, they don't talk of the full bladder capacities. So this may become difficult to say interpret. I was just trying to tell the radiologists that they also play a role in treatment. Prostatic artery embolization is one treatment which is coming up in a big way. Though experimental, this is something which would be looked at in the future. And I just gave them a couple of examples that this was a report which came to me where they say pre-void 120, patient unable to void and prostate 40 grams. On the face of it, it looks a complete report, but this has really not given me any information. Obviously at 120, because patient's bladder is not full, he may not really void. So you need to let the bladder be full to at least 250 to 300 ml so that patient voids and gives us a proper report. So it was a request to them that they should give proper time and effort before they give the report. Okay, and this was another patient where though the sonography had shown a very small prostate, when you looked at the images, you realized that the IPP was significant. And because this patient was severely symptomatic, radiologist has written mild prostatomegaly. Now these are terminologies they should not be using, because the moment it is written mild prostatomegaly, patient starts feeling that prostate disease is not severe. Rather, all they should write is a 30-gram gland and a significant IPP, and it is for us to decide what is the significance of this enlargement. So this is what I call as a utopian report, where pre-void and post-void are given, detrusor muscle thickness is given, exact size is given, IPP is given, and prostatic urethral angle is given. So if I get this type of report, for me to take any decision for the patient would be extremely easy, and to I would be able to reduce the need for urodynamics in a significant number of patients. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Sorry, I rushed through it a bit because
no problem.
Because
So
we are already late.
that is what we have to do is, like you are having ITSS score, we should now make sonography scoring and write down all the criteria. So every time patient comes, we should try to find out, or when we are sending the patient, along with that we should send these, that these are the, please see that these are the things are written down.
Sir, after I took a class for my radiologist here, the reports have really improved a lot. And because you see, most of the radiologists would not really know all these newer developments. Though they are radiological developments, they do not know the significance. And as you must have experienced, most of the radiologists really do a sonography in a lot of hurry. For them to give so
5
much
minutes,
reports,
5 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
Not more than 10 minutes.
So if we explain to them the importance, then the report quality really improves.
Then we should conduct one study, if necessary, then to find out with all this score, okay, and then correlate clinically and see
Absolutely.
whether the catheter-free trial is helpful or not, and how many patients, and then after surgery also, what is the success rate. So I think that will help us a lot.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And you know, there are a lot of studies done in literature where they've compared these parameters to a proper urodynamic test done. and the correlation is to the tune of more than 80 to 90%.
One more thing I wanted to know, is there any criteria with the weight of the body?
Prostate?
No, the weight of the person.
I'm
The
sorry, I
angle,
can't hear you.
the angle changes with that, because I have realized when we are doing dilatation or we are putting a scope, and the patient's weight is too much, the angle is also changed, the urethral angle.
See, sir, the relation between patient's weight and prostate is that they say that in obese patients, the suspensory ligament is short. So that is why the angle between the bulbar urethra and the bulbourethral angle becomes a bit difficult to turn. So you would realize that very obese patients, sometimes even getting the scope inside becomes awkward.
Very difficult.
That is because of the very tight suspensory ligament.
Yeah. And the last thing I was Dr. Gite joined 20 minutes back.
Right.
So I was just asking him about our first case. That in that case, when the prostate is so large, and in 2014 patient was operated, and now again he has developed retention, and when you only said that like neurological findings, the bulbocavernosus reflex and the anal tone, everything is fine. So in exam, whether if he talks about urodynamic study, okay, he will be in trouble or he will be just get through. So I just wanted to know it from Dr. Gite. Gite?
Sir, Geete sir is left the, matlab, I think he lost his signal or something. He's not there.
Oh, okay. No problem. But we'll ask him, and he can just suggest us, because we don't want unnecessarily to put that foot in trouble. That is the only thing. Like originally you only said that patient's reflexes are normal, his tone is normal. Then why you are thinking in terms of neurogenic bladder?
Absolutely.
But what you suggested is right in a way that you can predict the outcome. So that is one important thing we have to look after that. I think it was a very good presentation, Pankaj. We all like
I
it.
have made one presentation about stone disease also, so someday I will share that also with the students.
Yeah, so Tanvi, next time when we are doing a stone disease, okay, you keep that 15 minutes for him.
Stone, we'll add this also.
Yes. There are so many new things which have come for stone disease also.
Yeah.
That it's interesting that, and I would love to share that with everyone.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.